Welcome to Ask Dr. Louise. Keep following up. Are you navigating the dilemmas that addiction, aging, and mental health issues present? Ask Dr. Louise is the place to start. Life is often a series of hiccups, and while you might get knocked down, you always have the opportunity to fall up. Addictions and mental health issues are not a life sentence. There's always hope and strategic solutions for helping you become a better version of yourself, while impacting your loved ones with grace, compassion, and integrity. Join us as we navigate how to have those uncomfortable yet necessary conversations with yourself and your loved ones to take the actions needed to help you rise to be your best possible selves. Get ready to walk away with doable solutions. Ask Dr. Louise starts now.
Well, happy Friday, everybody. I am so excited this morning. Well, it's my morning. It's not my guest's morning. We have one of the most top security specialists in the world with us tonight, Kate Bright, who is CEO of Umbra from Great Britain. And when I was over in Great Britain, I was lucky enough to be connected with her. And I am so honored to bring her to you so we can learn about everything Kate does. And I'm going to let Kate take it away. And maybe you could introduce yourself and share what wonderful work you do in Great Britain that we could use in the United States.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me, first of all. It's amazing to be able to talk to your community. Yeah, I'm one of very few women in my sector, as you would imagine. I'm actually a chartered security professional. Fun fact, there are only 300 in the whole world, of which 20 are women, and I am one of them. And I come from the family office side of the house. So I spent the last 28 years working client-facing.
But I don't think people know what invisible security is. And maybe you could tell our listeners what invisible security is. People understand other things.
Absolutely. So invisible security is something that I certainly know that when I was working on the client-facing side that they all needed. It was something that united them. And in fact, invisible security is something that we proudly, along with Secure Lifestyle, have kind of pioneered in our sector. Everything from, obviously, me as a woman in the industry, the unusual nature of female protection, which is one part of the kind of physical 4 pillars of invisible security, as we call it, all the way through to the rise in the digital and the invisible nature of cyber threats, let alone the invisibility of the cloak of privacy that our clients require around their reputational security. So really, invisible security started with this idea of a much more blended approach, a much more discreet, low-profile approach to personnel, but actually over the years has evolved to become quite a groundbreaking methodology to help to support our clients, particularly those who may well be in the public eye, but they actually might not be in the public eye, or they might be in the public eye but want a completely private secondary life. So this idea that we can create very protective infrastructures for them to protect their privacy, but also to help that sort of secure lifestyle to be something that is a priority for us as practitioners, but also enables them to live their lives relatively normally, as far as that's possible for some of our more better known clients. So yeah, invisible security is certainly the area of the industry and a new category that we've created that I'm most proud of.
Well, that sounds exciting. So how can you, I think our listeners are wondering, how can you help them? How can you help us? Now, obviously, I deal in high wealth, high acuity, mental health, substance abuse interventions, but for the general public or for me, how can I work well with you, and what can we collaborate on?
So I think there's 2 sides to that. There's the collaborative side of helping us to all understand where we need to focus on our holistic security. So the 4-pillar framework sits around physical, digital, reputational, and emotional security. So we're all united by that. I think in terms of the client practice areas, the emotional security pillar is, of course, the one that speaks the most from my side of the house to yours. I think when we have clients for whom they have either physical or mental or cognitive health problems, this is really where sometimes our work starts, and we need to be working with incredible professionals like yourself. But I think the great thing about using a 4-pillar framework like that is that we can all understand where, from an individual responsibility perspective, how each of us as individuals can help to create a safer community or a safer family structure or a safer town or city or neighborhood. And I think it's a really interesting time to be talking about the intersection of health and safety. So your practice area and my practice area, because I'm going to be sort of being quite loud in talking about the fact that emotional security is where all of our collective work needs to start, not just for our clients, but for society. So I think it's a really interesting time to be talking about and pioneering these kind of concepts, because I think before we would have perhaps focused on wrapping our clients in a physically protective framework. But now actually, when we talk to them about what peace of mind means to them and where they could be optimizing their physical, mental, or cognitive health and their approach to risk, because as you and I well know, the perception of risk and your risk resilience and your mental state, it changes in all of us, from one day to the next, from one moment to the next moment. So I think for all of us, particularly as practitioners, to understand this link between resilience and emotional security, I think that is where the magic can start to happen.
I love that, because we really try to build self-efficacy and resilience and build on strengths when we work with clients. And so the idea of you also helping that happen, and let's just talk about some of the 4 pillars, if that's okay, to extrapolate. And, one of the biggest pillars, I guess, is digital. What we present to the world, or I notice a lot of people will present one version of themselves to the world. Like on Facebook, everybody is just perfect. On Instagram, everybody is just perfect. And in the media, unless you're in a big time controversy or a big time lawsuit, everything is perfect. And who are we really on the interior? And so how you deal in that space would be really fascinating, I think, to share.
Yeah, so I would say the digital pillar or the cyber pillar is the one that most people, they can grasp that. I mean, physical security, I would say, is always overlooked as it pertains to the safety of the human side, the physical kind of bricks and mortar that you live in, the people that are around you. What people, I think, maybe miss a trick, and certainly we spend a lot of time helping our clients to understand this, that the help that we give them to understand their digital security directly impacts their reputational security, our third of the 4th pillars. So I think it's this interoperability between all 4 that I find most interesting. And guess what the common denominator is through that? The actual human-centered approach. What's 70% of all cyber and digital risk events that occur, all related to human error. So if we have better humans, better emotionally secure humans and advisors helping those individual clients, you see we have then this knock-on effect to that digital pillar. So I think my overriding advice to anybody is not to look at any one of those pillars in isolation, because that's where we miss that connection between that holistic framework, which I think is something that when I say it to clients that haven't heard it spoken about in that way, is a big penny drop moment. And what we want to be is helping our clients educate themselves as to almost what they want us to help them with. So I think gone are the days of sitting opposite our client, which is what I talk about now. We sit next to our client, around the table with our client, because ultimately they're going to tell us what they're concerned with and how that affects them in their daily life.
And I do the same thing, but let's just pretend, how can we tell the general public what they might do in terms of helping create a safe environment for them, given these 4 pillars?
Yeah, so we have a secure lifestyle toolkit on our website. Under those 4 pillars, there are many, many things that are low, no cost. Physical security, I always relate it back to community safety. So if you're not on your block, neighborhood, street, whatever, WhatsApp group, I know we all like to mute and archive the noise, but actually it's one of the safest, most cost-effective bits of investment in modern technology that I think creates community creates safety. A lot of the different online trainings that we can do, things like bystander training, I think that's a really important part of the physical pillar toolkit. When to step in, when not to step in, when we see things that are not right, honing our gut instinct and that situational awareness side of when physical things are happening. Digital security, I think we all understand the nature of keeping our passwords private and complex enough, but not too complex that we're all writing them down on pieces of paper. So we're big advocates for things like password managers and the good old multi-factor authentication, you know, having 2 ways to get into an account. We say what's safe isn't always convenient and what's convenient isn't always safe. But I think if you have a modulated approach to that part of that pillar of the framework, then I think you're in a good place. The reputational one, I think my best advice on that is I always say, you know, everyone's individual reputation is hard fought, and I believe everyone deserves the right to privacy. And so one of the things that we do, a bit like the press cuttings of, you know, a few decades ago when I was starting out in my professional life, things like Google keyword alerts, being able to actually set those on yourself, your family members, the companies that you work for. I think that's a really good way of not only staying current, but also looking at and seeing things before they happen or as they are happening. You know, forewarned is forearmed, and certainly knowing whether there's particularly been any negative press about the company that you work within. You know, you might be someone for whom that's not necessarily important in relation to your own reputation, but it might have an impact and a bearing on the share price of that organization and therefore your job. And emotional security, I always say, you know, not only were we friends with the founder of Calm here at the business, and we believe in certainly creating moments of calm, but I am a massive advocate for prioritizing your physical and mental, cognitive, particularly health. I think it's the front line of all things security related. If you are physically fit, you're able to be much more resilient. If you are mentally fit, you're able to perceive risk in a proportionate way. And if you're cognitively fit, which is what I'm working on at the moment with all the sort of neuroscience backed stuff that I'm doing, from neurofeedback all the way to brain mapping, I'm really quite interested in that space. I'm taking a lot of stuff from the pro athlete community and doing it on my own little brain, and really seeing some incredible results. I think it's one of the areas of resilience that I'm most enjoying, because I've always overlooked my brain health as being something that I can do something about, but actually there's so much you can do. And actually that is where all of our perception starts, all of our beliefs start. And actually sometimes for our clients, it's not their own sense of fear, it's their fears for their family, their younger generation. So if we can help them hone that emotional security, physical health, mental health, cognitive health, I think we're onto a really changing our sector for the good and giving those tools back to our clients. But any person can be investing in their physical, mental, and cognitive health, and they can understand. I'm in the process of data backing this statement. You will be more risk resilient the more physically, mentally, and cognitively fit you are. Yeah, we've seen it from firsthand with our client outcomes.
That is fabulous. I'm so excited about that for you, and I love that you're passionate about that. What is your most favorite thing? And maybe that you already just told me. What is the vision for you and Umbra in the next 10 years?
Well, I think we couldn't have predicted 10 years ago when we were setting out that there was going to be a global pandemic in the middle of our ambitious plan. So I'm always a bit nervous. I think any business founder is a bit nervous giving a 10-year prediction, but I see there being a lot of uncontrollables in the world. We only have to look around us at the moment to see that is in the bigger picture. Lots of things changing. I think the word polycrisis speaks to this very well. I think that as a business, I'd like to think that we could be part of a big conversation about controlling your controllables, certainly when it relates to your own personal security. I'd like to think that also as a business, our international work that we do, a lot of our advisory work, a bit like this conversation between you and I, is pretty borderless now. So we do work with clients from all over the world. I'd love to be doing more international work with clients that not just have a footprint in the UK or Europe. And increasingly, we're seeing big family, all sorts of sizes of families coming to us, particularly focusing on the post-liquidity market. I think it's a really interesting time to be working with clients that have had huge successes in growing, scaling, and exiting businesses. I know I certainly get so much energy from working with those sort of clients that come to us without a crisis. So there's this, I think, misconception that we're continually solving problems. The best problems we are solving at the moment is sitting down, slow, steady state with someone who has created something from nothing normally, and also then wants to make sure that they are investing in their secure lifestyle in the right way. And it's a great conversation to have, and we hope to be having more of those conversations and shifting this mindset around security being some sort of, tangential grudge purchase and more of a investment. And we should, as a business, be leading the conversation to show what you should be expecting as the return on your investment, particularly into your own emotional security. And I think if we could be known as having pioneered both the secure lifestyle and the emotional security relevance in today's society, I'll certainly be a happy founder. And hopefully my team will have sort of taken over the reins and moved it forward in a far better way, because they're all way more capable than I. I have a fantastic team of ex-military, law enforcement, government agency specialists. And I think what I have to make sure that I'm doing as the founder, and any founder of a business will know this, that we have to make sure enough of our vision is there, but that we know when we're actually kind of taking that vision to a place where it's ensuring that it's a fit for purpose business for the next 5-10 years. I think we're going to see people needing to feel more secure. And I think we're going to see this intersection of health and safety become the main focus of our work. And I think that we're going to be looking at community-based initiatives. We've seen it now more so with the resurgence of localized media and media outlets. I think we're going to see that return to the community. And examples of that in the UK are the resurgence of the neighborhood watch programs that people probably remember from way back, where
We have them
that
in the
didn't
US.
necessarily have the best reputation as being, well, I don't know. I think it's having a resurgence, and quite rightly, because I believe that security starts with community. And as you and I both know, that has so many benefits to each individual human. Our brains are wired to find and work with community at every level. So I hope that's those are the sort of areas that we're known for. And I hope I get to talk, more broadly, far and wide, being given very kindly platforms like this to be able to talk about these sort of things, but making it more accessible. So my dream and vision, secretly between you and I, is to make the tools and the toolkits that we work on with our clients accessible to everybody. And making the world a safer place as a legacy for a founder is a pretty cool one. So I hope I can make a dent in that.
I think that's so beautiful, because I think when most people think about security, they think about celebrities and how, and they're the ones that are in the limelight. They're the ones that have the shadows. They're the ones, but I love what you're talking about, because it really does start with us. It's really, how can we live the best life? And, on my work, which is on a more microscopic way, we're there to help people thrive. And obviously taking into security and resilience and emotional is so important. And also, where do you live? An ecological approach to living. So I'm excited about that. But
well, just on that, Dr. Louise, you are at the front line of peace
I
of
am.
mind. Without you, as I say, that fourth pillar, the emotional security pillar, you are the store of that pillar. So without that, we really don't have the ability to build. So yeah, thank you for seeing what we're doing has such a relevance to your practice area.
No, it's great. And I'm glad that you're pointing out, because when most people think of security, they think of, there's a celebrity, they have shadows with them, and they're like being guided, or they're making front news headline because they want to make front news headline. What do you do with the client who likes the front news headline just because they want the front news headline, even though and I know that is so unhealthy?
Yeah, but listen, I think every client, every human is on their own journey. And when you've had your success predicated upon being in the public eye, I think unless you have walked in those shoes, I think it's really hard for us to all understand how technically hard it is for us as security professionals to create almost a binary duality to that person's life. They have made their mark in the world through their public figure, head, but they deserve, I believe, everyone does have the right to a private life. And I think, listen, I look back to my early life, we've all made mistakes. Perhaps we've had less high stakes mistake environments than our clients. But I think certainly the younger our clients have exposure, whether that's through fame, whether that's through fortune, whatever that is, through taking over family businesses, I think there is a huge conversation to be had about those controlled mistakes. Who do you talk to? Who do you turn to? The safe pair of hands, being introduced to that concept as early as possible, so that even for the regular families and people listening to this with young people, so that they can have a relationship within their family to create a safe space for conversation. Because as clients will often say to me about their children, I want a facilitated conversation around digital security. We'll oftentimes say, we want to help you create a space where your young people can talk to you about that. Yeah. So I think there's a real moment for this idea of facilitating our clients to be able to understand where they've made mistakes, not judging them for those mistakes, but also from our side of the house, explaining what the sort of cause and effect of that is. You want a secure lifestyle. These are the things that we would recommend. You don't want to do those elements of that. These are the outcomes, intended or unintended. And I think that just goes back to the relationship that we build with them, right? Because, it's not about age either. I've seen people, hugely successful people, make accidental mistakes that have very far-reaching consequences, and you couldn't have predicted it, and neither could they, because it's not something that they deliberately did. And I think there's a real misunderstanding potentially for the public perception of people who have created wealth or people who have inherited wealth. And I think that's partly sometimes where, as you well know, the problems start, because it's an individual's own perception of their success and the way they have achieved it is the start of the psychology that we have to all work with. So I think the more physically, mentally and cognitively aware client, whether they make mistakes or not, I think I want to work with the sort of people for whom they buy into this concept that they're sitting next to me at this table, and that we will help to support them, but they've got to help to support us on that journey as well. And, we're working with the third, almost fourth generation soon of a one particular family.
That's right.
So, I think there's a generational shift. I'm 46. I'm older than a lot of my clients, but I'm also, I have an 88-year-old father and a 22-year-old nephew. So I think in my own personal life and in my professional life, it really reflects the fact that we're in this generational shift. And I think the conversations that we can have as practitioners now, you might have a view on this, but I don't think we could have had them even 5-10 years ago. So I think it's a really exciting time to be a safe pair of hands.
Well, we always start where the client is and where the family is. So I think we've had those generational talks, but I think that they're much more public now. There's much more awareness about them, but we only have about 4 or 3.5 minutes left. And I just want to give you the floor, because I may not have asked you the question you want to hear. What would you like our listeners to know? And I'm so grateful that we're doing this today. I just want to speak from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so excited to collaborate with you.
Me too. I think, I would firstly thank you so much for giving me this platform. I think for anybody who's listening for whom this is sort of like dislodged something, good, bad, or otherwise, get curious, I would say. If we haven't created the resources on our Umbra website that speak to you, like drop us a line. We love talking to anybody and everybody for whom our approach is interesting. I think we're keen to really present this idea of secure lifestyle as being something that's not just for the preserve of whoever you might have once thought the word security resonated. We truly believe that everyone deserves to be able to live a secure lifestyle. And, if there's one thing you can take away from this, there are so many ways you can take control of the controllables. And I think in today's uncontrollable world, sometimes it's, you just got to switch off the news. You just got to invest in your own individual resilience and pick up the phone or, set up that WhatsApp group. Pick up that phone to a neighbor, set up that WhatsApp group with your block or your street. Get to know your community, and you will be 99% 0.99% further ahead than most of the people and clients that we meet. It's simple, it's relevant, it's accessible, and we should all be looking out for each other, because that's when the true magic happens.
Is there anything else we can do as individuals for ourselves that you want to give us some tips in the last 2 minutes that we have together?
Well, really, I mean, I've run through the kind of things that we would suggest across those 4 pillars. But like I just said, I think if we can prioritize our own resilience and we can support those around us, the reliance on other people to keep us safe, I think, is something that we all should be there for each other in a crisis, of course. But I think we should all be looking at our own individual resilience as being something that we should prioritize. You know, I'm not asking you to do a personal best 5K run every day. It's more about just being able to do something every day for yourself that will enable you to look out for somebody else, not least of which yourself. Putting the oxygen mask on first, right? Which I guess is the thing that if there's one takeaway from this, help yourself to help other people.
Well, I love that. Being of service, every morning I talk in different language, but doing a gratitude list with someone else, doing a morning meditation, and then doing random kindness for another person. Well, do you have any questions? We only have a minute left, and it was so wonderful that you took time across the pond. I'm going to be at the Masters. I'm going to be speaking at the Masters in Oxford in London. So maybe we can catch up then. I get to speak on something that really had to do with mass security. I'm speaking about death, trauma, 9/11, and all across the world. So, it really resonates, and I can't wait. I hope one day to meet you in person.
Well, let's make that happen. And similarly, also looking at going to masters because of some of the work I've been doing from Bessel's book around neurofeedback. I really want to learn more about this idea of, oxygen mask on first. We address our own stuff and we can then help other people to address theirs. So yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and certainly speaking to your viewers. If anyone has any questions, we are a eternally available organization. As any founder says, contact us, let us know. Any feedback is good feedback.
Yeah, and I'd love for you to contact Umbra. And of course, you can always reach out to me. I still answer my own phone. My phone number is 619-507-1699. And thank you, Kate, for taking time out of your busy, busy schedule for this conversation today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have been listening to Ask Dr. Louise. Keep falling up. Tune in every 4th Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific Time on Transformation Network for more fresh takes on addiction and mental health that help you and your loved ones to keep falling up. We navigate how to ask yourself tough questions and how to have those uncomfortable yet necessary conversations with your loved ones. Ask Dr. Louise helps you gain resources to take doable actions. For more on the most advanced health and wellness solutions, visit allaboutinterventions.com.